Okay. Hello and welcome to the Good Robot Andy's Season 3, Episode 3. My name is Andy Balaam and this is...
I'm Andy Cockerill.
And the film we're going to talk about tonight is...
Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Yes.
At this point in the podcast, I explained to you the main outline of the plot and what I thought of the film without having seen it or even indeed heard of it, which is quite easy for me this week. This is a modern retelling of a classic fairy tale, Norse fairy tale. All the action takes place in a castle, and the main character has a large beard.
Oh.
And it's okay.
Okay, that's interesting. Wide of the mark in many respects. Interestingly, you've kind of diverted from your usual synopsis, which is usually a rollicking Disney adventure.
Yeah.
Featuring some talking animals.
Yeah, it's just a cartoon. That's my joke. It's funny, isn't it? Just say, it's a cartoon.
I think it's funny.
Okay.
It always makes me laugh. Particularly when
it is helpful.
Particularly when
we have jokes.
When we're talking about a film with very adult themes, and you say it's a rollicking Disney adventure.
Yeah, it is helpful to me, being a sense of humourly challenged, that we seem to be content with just the same jokes that we've had many times before, just repeated.
Look, we are. Maybe our listener isn't, but who cares?
Well, we might go from 1 to 0.
1 to 0, but then from 0 to hero. So. You know.
Oh, is that? Yeah,
that's a thing.
I think it's only when you've been released from the constraints of seeking an audience that you can truly perfect your art.
Is that a Confucius thing?
Yes, that's a Confucius thing.
Okay.
And also, it was a haiku.
It does sound like a haiku. So, Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Oh yeah, that yeah.
Is a New Zealand adventure comedy drama film. Written and directed by Taika Waititi.
I have to say, just putting New Zealand before it already makes me think I probably want to watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really quality stuff that comes out of New Zealand. Most notably, things like Flight of the Conchords is one thing.
Yep.
Crowded House, maybe not so much, but they do come from New Zealand.
Right, yeah, I think they were important to some people.
Yeah, I think they were. I quite like Crowded House. I quite like a little bit of Crowded House.
What about that film that I told you about, that I've now forgotten what it's called?
Oh, okay, well, I forget that as well, but there's a movie called Black Sheep, which is a glorious mashup of sort of the kind of stuff that Peter Jackson used to do.
Yeah, I was going to say the Peter Jackson
and
stuff.
Animal Husbandry.
There's also a short film I saw once whose name I can't remember and I've never seen again, which was about lemmings.
Oh, okay. And that's from New Zealand.
It was about some people who'd come out to spot the lemmings, to witness the lemming migration.
Which doesn't actually happen like it happens in a Disney film.
And it ends with them being trampled by these rabid lemmings. And that's the end.
Oh, that's amusing. That sounds good.
It's good.
Is it called Revenge of the Lemmings?
No. I don't know what it's called, but it's probably not.
Sounds like
anyway.
It's a rollicking Disney adventure.
Yeah, it was a rollicking Disney adventure.
So this movie's based on a book called Wild Pork and Watercress. Which, if you haven't already decided that you want to see this film, then just knowing that is based on a book called that is probably reason enough.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought that was reducing my enthusiasm, to be honest.
Okay. So, previous to this, Taika Waititi made a film, at least one that I've seen. I think he's made other stuff, but a film of his that I have seen, which is called What We Do in the Shadows, which is a spoof documentary along the lines of stuff like This Is Spinal Tap and The Office and things of that kind. And it centres around a house in a city in New Zealand that's populated by vampires.
Okay.
But they're all the vampires are archetypes. So there's a Lestat type vampire. There's a Gary Oldman Dracula type vampire. There's a Nosferatu vampire. There's a smelly emo Twilight vampire. There's all these kinds of, and they have to coexist in this house, and they don't really get on very well because they're all different characters. And that's as funny as it sounds. It really is very, very good. And into that mix, there's also other supernatural beings. So there's a bunch of werewolves who are led by Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords.
Okay.
Who also appears in Hunt for the Wilderpeople, led by Rhys Darby, whose catchphrase is he's trying to kind of urbanise and make these werewolves a bit less feral by saying their catchphrase is "We're werewolves, not swearwolves," because they're a bit sweary and they like to party hard and that kind of thing. So, So what we do in the shadows is a lot of fun.
Did you ever see the British series? It had several series, which featured like a vampire and a werewolf.
Was it
sharing
called
a house?
Being Human?
Yes.
No, I never saw it.
I think it was.
I think Aidan Turner is in that, who's currently, or was in Poldark. Aidan Turner's bare chest was in Poldark, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
It was. It was okay. It was like a good idea, but it was. I think basically I'm too old for it.
Was it on BBC Three?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely too old for it if it was on BBC Three.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been too old for things on BBC Three.
Yeah, I liked... there was a show I enjoyed on BBC Three called The Smoking Room.
Oh, I did quite like that. I also liked... was that on Channel 4?
Who was in that? It was one of the guys from... it was Robert Webb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was in it.
I liked Misfits, but I've realised now that was not on BBC Three at all. It was on... No, what was it?
Misfits?
Yeah.
Not sure.
It was really good. Have you not heard of it?
I have heard of it, yeah. Is
okay.
Is it another supernatural thing, or is it...
Yeah, they've got superpowers, but they're kind of ordinary British teenagers.
Oh, that's a twist.
So they...
So they're a bit sweary and a bit dorky.
Yeah, and the superpowers are quite a lot of them are a bit rubbish. And then someone's got like actual mind reading or something, but a lot of them have got...
Right.
I can't even think what they are, but just, silly things.
It's got to be... There's a movie called Chronicle, directed by Josh Trank, that lots of people seem to rave about and think is absolutely fantastic, but it sounds very similar to Misfits. But I found it to be intensely irritating because it just features young American men saying "dude" a lot.
It was on. Misfits was on at the same time as the. What was the thing that was on American TV where people had superpowers?
You have to narrow it down a bit.
Like ordinary people acquired superpowers.
Ordinary people. Oh, Heroes.
Yeah, Heroes. It was on at the same time as Heroes, approximately.
By the way,
it was so a difference between cultures.
This is my task in life, is to figure out what people are talking about. That's what I do. So somebody says, "What's that film with? What's his name?"
That thing. Yeah.
And I say, "Bridge Over the River Kwai," and they say, "Yeah, that's it. Yeah."
If that is your thing, you're very well chosen as a partner for me.
It's definitely my thing.
Okay.
I invariably end up sitting around a table with people saying, "So, what was that thing with him in?" And and then you sort of narrow it down a bit. What happens in it?
Well, I've been wondering what the unique selling point of this podcast is.
That's it.
What our catchphrase is. I think it's probably me going, that thing. What was that thing with so and so in?
Exactly.
With the one out of
Oh, the one with the beard. He doesn't always have a beard though, but he does in this.
In fact, he only has a beard in one film.
Yeah, the dog just came back in, by the way,
Okay.
as he is wont to do.
Keep us up to date.
Yeah, I will. So, Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Stars.
Oh, that, yeah.
Stars Sam Neill. Legendary Sam Neill.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He's a bit of a legend.
Sam Neill of that thing.
And also a New Zealander.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sam Neill out of Evil Dead, right?
No.
No?
No. What?
Who's that? No, that's Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi directed The Evil Dead.
Okay. Who was in The Evil Dead?
Bruce Campbell.
All right, okay. Right, neither of those people. All right, you're going to have to fill me in a bit.
Who's laughing now? So, yes. Sam Neill was in Jurassic Park.
Which person?
He was the paleontologist. The one who's not Jeff Goldblum.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, the one who's not Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so, and Sam Neill plays a, shall we say, pretty grumpy guy who, along with his wife, become the foster parents of a pretty troubled young man played by, what's his name? Julian Dennison plays this pretty troubled young man who comes from the city. His character's name is Ricky Baker, and they are foster parents to him, and they live way out in the wilderness, in the middle of nowhere, in the New Zealand outback, as far away from this young man's environment as they possibly could be. So you'd think that he won't get into any trouble. And they do try to sort of engage with him and show him that there's a way other than being a bit of a wannabe gangster kind of thing. But then the Sam Neill's partner dies suddenly, and the young man sort of loses his marbles a bit, burns down the barn, and runs off into the bush with his dog.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to be taken back into foster care in the city. He really likes it where he is.
Okay.
So Sam Neill goes looking for him, but hurts his leg in the process, so they have to camp out in the middle of nowhere. But of course, whilst they're doing this, it appears that the barn has been burned down, Sam Neill's gone missing, and so has the boy. So the logical conclusion is that he's been kidnapped.
Okay.
And a national manhunt begins. It's like live on television, and it's all very heightened. And
is this serious or non-serious?
No, some of it's very serious. So, the bit when the mum dies is very seriously done. It's not funny. However, the church service that takes place after that, where in fact the vicar is played by Taika Waititi, is toe-curlingly, embarrassingly funny.
Okay.
In the way that the sermon is delivered, in a really sort of faltering, amateurish way. So it wrings laughs out of the blackest humour, which is something that I always enjoy.
Yeah. But it is a comedy. Yeah. Is it a comedy?
Yeah. It's a comedy drama. I would say the emphasis is definitely on the comedy. But there is dramatic stuff in there. So they're camping out. They don't really realise what's going on until some guys who are out hunting find them and say, "Wait a minute, we know you. We've seen wanted posters with you on them, and there's a reward for your capture." So of course they get into a bit of trouble, and they have to evade these guys, and Sam Neill gets a bit physical with them. But of course, along the way, he teaches the young lad Ricky Baker about bushcraft and being out in the wilderness on your own and how to survive and that kind of thing. And the two become really quite closely bonded because Ricky, this young guy's character's never had a strong father figure in his life. So then there's a little diversion where he meets the young lad meets a young girl his own age. And there's a little diversion when he meets another adult and realises that, there's other nice people around. Not everybody's a complete jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a big, just before the big showdown between social services and Sam Neill and the boy, they meet up with Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords, who's playing a character called, let me just remind myself, Psycho Sam.
Psycho Sam.
Who lives in a shack. He's got a big old beard and mad hair. He's like an archetypal hillbilly, New Zealand hillbilly type, who may or may not be insane, but does have access to some stuff that they need. And then there's a big old car chase and a big showdown, which is pretty silly.
Because the authorities are trying to take him away.
Yeah, and the social services, the lady who's leading social services is like this really, she thinks she's in some kind of LA manhunt, she's really taking it very seriously. Everybody around her thinks she's an idiot, but they can't do anything about it because she's in charge.
Sounds very New Zealand.
Pardon?
It sounds very New Zealand.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. There's definitely as there is with a lot of films from New Zealand and Australia, there's definitely a strong sense of not being respectful of authority. Yeah,
and of these characters who are ridiculous.
Yeah, authority characters who are ridiculous and not to be trusted.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way that they view the British. Maybe that's what they represent.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Maybe our listener could comment on that. If we have listeners down under. A listener down under. Which is possible.
Yeah. We may have moved on to just the one listener.
Just the one?
Down under.
Just the one. But of course the two do get apprehended by the authorities. And Ricky goes to live with the dad and the young girl that he met on their travels. So he's in a good place. And Hector goes to an old folks' home.
I see.
And Ricky goes to visit him one day, and that's where it finishes with him going to visit him, which is very sweet.
Right.
And it's so
it's like they bonded.
Yeah, definitely. It came out last year to fairly low. It's a low budget New Zealand film. It came out to very low publicity. Not many people knew about it, but I heard about it from Kermode and Mayo, and then. From the Empire Film Podcast and also from Empire Magazine. I think Empire Magazine gave it 5 stars.
Right.
And it was Empire's Film of the Year. So,
wow.
Although it was a low-profile release, it did very well with critics.
So why is it so good?
It's just got a load of heart. It's got... it's like putting on a warm blanket on a cold day. That's how I would describe it. It's got a warm heart to it. It's got loads of style. It's got Sam Neill playing a grumpy old geezer, and that's just it's just brilliant, really.
Right.
The young lad played by Julian Dennison is terrific. The New Zealand locations are beautiful. So
right,
you wouldn't. Having not been to New Zealand, I know that it's very varied in terms of its flora and fauna, but honestly, the locations in this, some of them are absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, we when I went to New Zealand, I kind of got fatigue for how much beautiful stuff there was because we were driving around, and every corner you turn, there's another incredibly beautiful mountain or valley or something, and after a while you're just like, oh, it's just another breathtaking view.
Yeah. So this is all set in, well, actually not all, but mostly set in the woods rather than in the open spaces. So we think of New Zealand from the Lord of the Rings movies and from stuff like King Kong, I suppose, to a certain extent. We think of New Zealand as being massively wide open spaces and fjords and mountains and things like that, but all of this is set in quite heavily wooded areas that look pretty hostile to getting lost in.
Right, yeah.
Not that there's anything there that's going to kill you, but if you got lost there, you would pretty much be done.
Yeah.
Done for.
Yeah.
And Hector knows these woods really well, which is why he's they managed to stay out there for quite a long time without being detected.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the locations are beautiful. The direction by Taika Waititi has, there's a deft sleight of hand going on here that is deceptive in that, like so many New Zealand films, it's a simple enough story, but it's got a warm heart and it's thumbing its nose at authority in a gentle kind of way.
Mm-hmm. You just want them to escape and enjoy them learning to trust each other and stuff. Because there's stuff going both ways, because the young lad needs a strong father figure. He needs someone to show him how stuff works and about the great outdoors and that kind of thing. And Sam Neill is childless. He's never had a kid before. He's a foster parent, but that doesn't mean he has to enjoy it. Yeah.
In fact, there's a line at the beginning when the mum says to the young lad, "Oh, don't mind him. He's grumpy. You can call him Uncle Heck." And Sam Neill says, "No, he can't," and just walks off. Yeah, it's and he's got a big old beard. Sam Neill's got a big old beard on him, so almost unrecognisable from the character in Jurassic Park and Event Horizon, which is a favourite of mine. He was in that.
Rubbish.
No.
Hate Event
No,
Horizon.
not well. Okay, it is pretty corny, but it's quite enjoyable.
I didn't enjoy it at all.
You don't have to. It's not a rule.
No. No, well, good.
No. Yeah. I have quite a soft spot.
Yeah, it was Jurassic Park was a long time ago.
Yes, it was. I'm trying to think. 1994, maybe earlier.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's even longer ago than I thought.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look and see when it was made. 93.
Wow.
93. Yeah.
Wow.
So that is Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Not Hunt for the Wilder People, Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Okay.
That's important.
Spelled like Oscar Wilde.
Spelled like Oscar Wilde, pronounced Wild. Like wildebeest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. So what's the point of it?
What's the point of it? So it shows us a slice of life from somewhere else in the world that seems to be familiar yet not familiar at the same time. So, if you live in rural Britain or, maybe somewhere else rural, because we might have a listener who doesn't live in rural Britain.
Yeah, we might have a listener.
We might have a listener.
And for all we know, they might live in somewhere rural.
They might. It seems familiar and yet not at all familiar. And that's interesting. It shows us that, a strong bond between two people can build. And in your words, it's rollicking good fun.
Yeah, it's a rollicking good Disney cartoon.
It's not a Disney cartoon. Don't confuse the listener.
Based on... Our listener's pretty smart.
You reckon?
Based on a fairy tale, but a modern take, set entirely in a castle, and with a character with a very large beard.
Does have a large beard.
So I was exactly right.
Yeah, you were.
On that aspect.
I think based on the things you gave me, probably about 30% right.
Yeah, but exactly right on that 30%.
On that 30%, yes, he does have a large
I was
beard.
exactly right.
Yeah.
It's spooky.
Yeah. So, yes, it's deceptive, I would say. On the surface, it seems like a pretty slight story, but it draws you in and makes you care about these characters a great deal.
I'm curious about how something that's sort of unnuanced would be so popular with the critics.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just good.
Yeah, it's just really good. It's really well made.
Which makes me want to see it.
Yeah, I think you should see it. I think our listeners should see it because I think it did pretty well at the box office, but it's one of these things that probably wasn't seen by enough people. Because films like this just don't get the wide scale release that they need.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, it is.
Although actually, I believe we may also be here for telling people about films that they should watch, but they don't want to watch because they're too scary.
Yeah, there is some of that. I know
that's the other thing we're here for.
I know we do talk occasionally about big box office stuff like Arrival, but I do also think that Arrival was probably not seen by enough people as well.
I didn't see it. Still haven't.
Yeah, that is what we're here for, and that's largely what my radio show is here for. But more about that later.
Well, I think we're nearly there.
We're nearly there.
Speaking of films I haven't seen, I found the DVD that you gave me.
Of Point Blank.
Point Blank. I haven't yet watched
Come
it,
on.
but I have found it.
That was ages ago. I got you that for Christmas.
Yeah, but I lost it. Not last Christmas, the one before.
You've got to watch that film. It's terrific.
Yeah, I lost it, but now I've found it.
Right.
It's still in its cellophane wrapper.
Watch it this week.
Okay, well, I thought...
You could have watched that instead of going to see
night.
John Wick Chapter 2.
Yeah, so speaking of John Wick Chapter 2, I think we've got 1 to 2 bonuses in us.
Okay.
This episode. So if we leave it rolling after we've finished recording,
all right.
we might do a
We've
bonus. We've
definitely got another bonus. Yeah, something I want to talk about.
All right, or maybe 3 then, depending whether you've seen the one that I'm going to spring on you.
Oh, okay, maybe not, no. Okay.
Cool, all right. Are we done on...
I think we
what's
are.
it called?
Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Hunt for the Wilderpeople.
Yes.
Okay. Cool, yeah, it definitely sounds like I'd like to watch
it's really good. Really good. Plugging?
So, plugging.
Why don't you do plugging first this week? Because I always do plugging first.
Okay, all right. So I make videos which are mostly about computer programming on YouTube. You can find links to all this stuff from our About page on the Good Robot Andy's blog. I also have a blog about programming, and I have various open source projects. And I'm designing a new programming language that's going to be better than all the others, called Pepper. And
did you say pepper?
Pepper.
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 Peppa Pig.
No, it's spelt the normal way that pepper is spelt, not spelt the Peppa Pig.
Okay.
It's going to be... Imagine everything you don't like about your current programming language. It's going to not have any of that. Yep. And I also have made another podcast, which is about like stuff like whether God exists or whether you die when you die and things like that. So it's really quite different in terms of its level of levity.
I was just saying that in a honey voice. Whether you die when you die.
Yeah, you should. If you could do the trailer for that would be great.
Okay.
That's called the Imagine Thought Experiment podcast.
The Imagine Thought Experiment podcast.
Yeah, so if you want to hear me droning on in the middle of the night about some thoughts I had about stuff like that, I've already had a listener and a comment, so
that's cool.
Clearly someone listened to a whole episode, which I can't really imagine.
Well, it's out on the internet, so people are going to listen to it. As we know, we've had at least 2 people listen to ours, so...
Anyway, so that's quite different from this. That's probably it for my plugging. Do some plugging.
Okay. I present a radio show on Glastonbury FM 107.1, also available on the internets. Glastonbury FM.
And that would be especially of interest to people who live down Glastonbury Street,
in the Wells.
Up to as far as the Wells.
The Wells. It's on a Thursday. How long are we going to keep going with that gag? Forever?
I don't know. Judging by our track record on other gags that we're still going with, that we said to each other earlier today, that must have a vintage of about 15 years.
At least. Yeah, at least.
The Mick.
So
Mick
the show is on between 6 and 7 on a Thursday, every Thursday, and is repeated between 2 and 3 on Friday. There's podcast highlights. Search for Movie Mashup, one word, on iTunes or your podcasting app of choice. So every Thursday, or every first Thursday of the month, there's a special feature called Movies That Changed My Life, in which a special guest comes on. It's a bit like Desert Island Discs without the Desert Island or the discs. In fact, it has nothing to do with it at all. I'm not infringing on any copyright at all. But it's a bit like that, where a guest comes on and talks about some movies that had a profound impact on them and maybe turn them around to a different way of thinking and that kind of thing. So the next one is on the 6th of April, and guest to be determined, as I'm talking to a few people about that.
Are they famous people?
They're locally quite well known, yes.
Okay.
I can't say anything else.
Cool. That sounds worth a listen.
It is worth a listen, yes. I think that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. See you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.